Have you ever woken up, not because you heard something, but because every instinct in your body was screaming that someone was watching you? I used to think that was just something people said in horror movies. Now, I sleep with every light in my apartment on. My name's Tyler, and this happened last December. I was 24, living in my parents' house while they were visiting family across the country for a few days. Our house sat by itself at the edge of a pine forest outside Flagstaff. The nearest neighbor was almost half a mile away. During the day, it was beautiful. At night, it felt like the woods swallowed the entire world. The first 3 nights were completely normal. Night 4, something changed. I woke up suddenly, not slowly, not from a nightmare. 1 second I was asleep, the next, my eyes were wide open. I looked at the clock. 2:41 a.m. The room was completely silent. No wind, no heater running, nothing. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. It wasn't fear, not yet. It was like my brain had noticed something before I did. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand. Dead. That made absolutely no sense. I'd plugged it in before bed. I remembered watching the charging symbol appear. I sighed and figured maybe the outlet had stopped working. Then, I noticed my bedroom door. It was cracked open, only a few inches. I always slept with it closed. Always. That sounds like a tiny thing, but when you live alone for several days, you notice little things. I stared at it for a few seconds, trying to convince myself I'd simply forgotten. Then I heard it. Tap. One tiny tap, somewhere inside the house. Not loud, just enough to make every muscle in my body tense. I reached beside my bed and grabbed the aluminum baseball bat my dad always kept there, mostly for peace of mind. At least, that's what he used to say. I stepped into the hallway. Every room was dark. The living room looked normal. The kitchen looked normal. Nothing seemed out of place. Until I noticed the back door. The deadbolt was unlocked. I stood there staring at it. Every single night, I'd lock that door before bed. It had become a habit. I knew I hadn't forgotten. Then I heard breathing. Very soft, very slow, behind me. I spun around so fast, my shoulders slammed into the hallway wall. Nothing. Nobody. Just darkness. I actually laughed. One of those nervous laughs people make when they're trying to convince themselves everything's okay. Then, my parents' bedroom door slowly creaked open. By itself. Only a few inches. I whispered, "Hello?" Just silence. I decided I wasn't staying inside another second. I walked toward the front door, keeping the bat raised, never taking my eyes off the hallway. I grabbed the handle, unlocked it, pulled. Nothing. It wouldn't move. I shoved it harder. Still nothing. Like somebody on the other side was holding it shut. That's when I heard footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Coming from behind me. Step. 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 They weren't rushing. Whoever it was knew I couldn't leave. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Every instinct told me If I looked, I'd see someone standing there. I backed into the kitchen instead. Then I noticed something on the floor. Mud. Fresh, muddy footprints, leading across the kitchen toward the hallway, toward my bedroom. I followed them with my eyes, one footprint after another, until they disappeared into the darkness. I don't know why, but I started walking after them, slowly. Every part of me knew it was a terrible idea. Still, I kept going. I reached my bedroom doorway. The footprints stopped, right beside my bed. There were no footprints leading away, just the ones leading to where I'd been sleeping, like someone had walked in and never left. I suddenly heard another tap, this time behind me. I spun around. Nothing. When I looked back toward my bed, the baseball bat was gone. I swear, it had been in my hands less than a second earlier. My heart completely dropped. Something else was inside that room with me. I just couldn't see it. I ran, straight through the back door. This time, it opened without any resistance. I sprinted barefoot through the freezing snow to my truck, locked every door, and stayed there until sunrise. I don't think I blinked once. The moment daylight finally came, I convinced myself I'd imagined everything. So I walked back inside. The books looked perfectly normal. Every door closed, nothing missing. I actually started laughing at myself. Then I walked into my bedroom and saw my phone, still plugged into the charger, battery at 100%. The screen was on. There was one notification, a photo, taken at 2:39 a.m., 2 minutes before I woke up. My hands started shaking before I even opened it, because I don't remember taking any pictures. I tapped it anyway. It was a perfectly clear photo of me sleeping in my bed, taken from the corner of my bedroom, high enough that whoever took it couldn't have been standing on the floor. And just barely visible, at the very edge of the frame, was the top of someone's bare foot, standing right beside my pillow.
Most people think being stalked starts with someone following you. It doesn't. Sometimes it starts with someone simply being there, everywhere, just enough that you question your own sanity. That's exactly what happened to me. My name's Natalie. I'm 23, and this happened about 6 months after I moved into my first apartment outside Columbus, Ohio. It was a small second-floor apartment with a balcony overlooking the parking lot. For the first time in my life, I finally had my own place. I worked from home, so I spent most of my days inside. Everything was peaceful, until I started noticing the same man. The first time, we passed each other on the stairs. Gray hoodie, blue jeans, average height, nothing unusual. We did that awkward sidestep strangers do. He never spoke, just walked past me. I forgot about him. 3 days later, I saw him again, standing beside the dumpsters, not doing anything, just watching. The moment he noticed me, he calmly walked away. Over the next 2 weeks, he kept appearing, near the mailbox, across the street, in the parking lot. Always close enough to notice, never close enough to confront. Eventually, I recognized his car, an older dark blue sedan. One headlight was slightly dimmer than the other. Every time I saw it, something felt wrong. One afternoon, I looked out my window. The sedan was parked directly across from my building. Someone sat inside. I couldn't see his face, but I knew he was looking toward my apartment. I shut the blinds. A few days later, I drove nearly 20 minutes to my favorite coffee shop. While working on my laptop, he walked in. Same hoodie, same calm expression. He ordered coffee, then sat a few tables away. He never looked directly at me, but every time I caught his reflection, his eyes were already on me. I left immediately. When I reached my car, he was standing beside his sedan, simply watching me. After that, I changed everything. Different grocery store, different gym, different roads home. It didn't matter. He still appeared. Not every day, just enough to make me question myself. Then, one Friday night, I found a white envelope tucked beneath my apartment door. Inside was one sentence: "You look happier when your kitchen light is on." My stomach dropped. My kitchen window couldn't be seen from the parking lot, only from the woods behind the building. Someone had been watching me from there. The next morning, I followed a narrow dirt path behind the apartments. Hidden among the trees, I found crushed soda cans, cigarette butts, and a folding camping chair, facing my apartment. I moved out less than a week later. Different city, different job, different routine. I deleted every social media account. For the first time in months, I finally felt safe. Until one Sunday morning, parked across the street was a dark blue sedan. Same faded paint, same dim headlight. No one was inside. Tucked beneath my windshield wiper was a folded receipt from the coffee shop I'd stopped visiting months earlier. On the back, someone had written, "I liked the apartment better." I looked everywhere. Nothing. I drove for nearly 2 hours before coming home. By then, the sedan was gone. I never saw it again. At least, not in person. A few weeks ago, I was deleting old photos from my phone. Then I found one I don't remember taking. It showed my apartment building, taken from deep inside the woods behind it. The metadata said it had been saved 3 months before I moved out. I know I never took that picture. I zoomed in. Hidden between the trees, barely visible, was a man in a gray hoodie, standing perfectly still, looking directly at the camera. Sometimes I wonder if that photo wasn't left on my phone by accident. Sometimes I think it was his way of letting me know he'd been closer than I ever realized.